The evening sky burned orange above the battlefield of Vale, its twin suns setting behind the distant mountains. Captain K lay motionless among the wreckage of fallen ships and broken weapons, her crystalline body reflecting the fading light. As a Lumini officer, she had led the charge against the human forces, but now she was just another casualty of a war she had never questioned until today. Her transparent form had cracked in 3 places, across her chest, along her right arm, and through her left leg. The damage wasn't fatal, but in her culture, that hardly mattered. The Lumini military never returned for the wounded. Efficiency above all, they said. The strong survive, the weak are left behind. These words, once a source of pride, now felt hollow as she watched her own troops retreat into the distance. The battlefield around her told a story of chaos. Broken pieces of machinery scattered across the red soil of Vale, some still smoking from the recent battle. The humans had fought differently than expected. The Lumini High Command had predicted they would break easily, describing them as soft creatures who wasted resources trying to save each other. Instead, they had shown incredible determination and teamwork, turning the tide of battle through clever tactics rather than brute force. Kay tried to move, but sharp pain shot through her crystalline form. Each crack in her body sent waves of agony through her neural network. The Lumini weren't supposed to feel pain this way. They were supposed to be above such physical weaknesses. Yet here she was, experiencing something her training had never prepared her for: complete helplessness. A cool wind swept across the battlefield, carrying with it the sounds of distant explosions. The fighting had moved on, leaving her behind in this graveyard of military ambition. She watched as small creatures, native to Vale, emerged from their hiding places to investigate the aftermath. These tiny 6-legged beings scurried among the debris, their curiosity untouched by the destruction around them. As the first moon of Vale rose into the darkening sky, Kay's thoughts drifted to her home world, the gleaming crystal cities where she had grown up, where everything was ordered and logical. There was no room for weakness there, no place for those who couldn't contribute to the greater good. She had never questioned these beliefs until now, lying broken on an alien world. The temperature began to drop, and Kay noticed something she had never experienced before. Fear, not the calculated assessment of risk she was trained to feel, but real, primitive fear. Her body's natural luminescence, usually a steady glow, flickered weakly in the growing darkness. She had seen human prisoners show similar signs of distress, which her people had dismissed as proof of their inferiority. Now she understood. Fear wasn't weakness, it was simply part of being alive. Through her pain, Kay observed the strange beauty of her surroundings. Vale's rock formations glowed with bioluminescent moss, creating patterns that reminded her of the stellar maps she had studied in military academy. She had never taken time to appreciate such things before. The Lumini believed beauty was inefficient, a distraction from duty and purpose. Yet now, these lights provided her only comfort. In the distance, she could hear the sounds of vehicles moving. Her sensors, though damaged, could still detect approaching heat signatures. They weren't Lumini. Her people's ships had a distinct thermal pattern. These were different, likely human vessels searching the battlefield. Kay knew she should try to hide, to maintain military protocol even in her injured state. But she remained where she was, too damaged to move, too tired to care. As the sounds grew closer, Kay made a decision that went against everything she had been taught. She would not attempt to self-terminate as her training demanded. Instead, she would wait and witness what fate had in store for her. Perhaps, she thought, there was something to learn from this moment of complete vulnerability. The approaching lights grew brighter, and Kay prepared herself for whatever would come next. The sound of boots crunching on broken crystal and metal grew closer. Kay's damaged sensors picked up a single heat signature, a lone human approaching her position. She lay still, her crystalline form barely glowing in the darkness of Vale's night. The Lumini military had taught her that humans were ruthless creatures who destroyed everything they couldn't understand. Now she would learn if those teachings were true. A beam of light cut through the darkness, sweeping across the battlefield. The human carried what her military database identified as a basic medical scanner, not a weapon. This confused Kay. In her experience, soldiers always secured an area with weapons before sending in medical units. Yet this human moved with purpose, checking each fallen fighter with careful attention. "Hello. Anyone alive out here?" The voice was deep but gentle, speaking in clear, simple sounds that Kay's universal translator could easily process. The human was male, dressed in white armor marked with red crosses, symbols she recognized from her military briefings as indicating a medical role. When the light fell on her broken form, Kay expected him to either flee or shoot. Instead, he quickly approached, medical kit already in hand. "Hey there," he said, kneeling beside her. "I'm Jack, combat medic with the United Earth Forces. Can you understand me?" Kay's voice emerged as a crystalline chime, translated into human speech. "I am Captain K of the Stellar Defense Force. Why do you not terminate me?" Her question seemed to surprise the human. Jack shook his head as he began scanning her injuries. "That's not how we do things. You're wounded, and I'm a medic. That makes you my patient, not my enemy." He pulled various tools from his medical kit, studying the readings on his scanner with focused attention. "Your logic is flawed," Kay stated. "I would kill you if our positions were reversed. It is protocol." She watched as he selected several devices she didn't recognize. Jack smiled slightly as he worked. "Yeah, well, human protocol is different. We figure anyone can destroy, but it takes real strength to heal." He held up a device that emitted a soft blue light. "This might feel strange, but it should help stabilize the cracks in your structure. Your biology is fascinating, by the way, like living crystal." Kay felt a warm sensation as the device activated. The pain began to lessen, and she could see the smallest cracks in her form beginning to seal. "You know how to treat Lumini injuries." This seemed impossible. Her people guarded their medical knowledge carefully. "We've been studying your physiology since the war began," Jack explained, moving the device carefully along her damaged arm. "Figured it was better to learn how to help than just how to hurt. Had to improvise some treatments, but the principles aren't too different from treating crystalline structures in our own bodies, like bones." The comparison startled Kay. No Lumini would ever compare themselves to soft-bodied creatures like humans. Yet this human spoke of their similarities as if they were obvious. Why waste resources healing an enemy? Jack continued his work, now addressing the major crack across her chest. "Because every life has value. Because today's enemy might be tomorrow's friend. Because it's the right thing to do." He spoke these words simply, as if stating obvious facts rather than what Kay saw as radical ideas. More vehicles were approaching in the distance. Kay tensed, but Jack remained calm. "That'll be my medical evacuation team," he said. "We'll get you to a proper facility where we can treat these injuries properly." He looked directly at her, his expression serious. "I know you have no reason to trust us, but I give you my word. You'll receive the same care as any of our own people." Kay lay there, processing his words. Everything she knew about humans, everything she had been taught, was being challenged by this single encounter. As the medical vehicles drew closer, their lights illuminating the battlefield, she made another decision that went against her training. She would trust this human, this healer who saw value in saving an enemy's life. The human medical vehicle hummed quietly as it moved through the dark landscape of Vale. Inside, Kay watched with growing curiosity as Jack and two other medics worked on her injuries. Their vehicle hit a bump, and she noticed how Jack quickly steadied her crystalline form to prevent further damage. "Your body structure is remarkable," Jack said as he used a device that released a fine mist over her cracked chest area. "The way it channels light energy. It's like nothing we've seen before." The mist began to harden, creating a transparent bridge across her worst crack. Kay observed his work with surprise. You created this treatment specifically for my kind. In her experience, developing medical procedures for other species was a waste of resources, yet these humans had done exactly that. We adapted it from our bone repair techniques, one of the other medics explained. She was older than Jack, with gray hair tied back neatly. I'm Dr. Anna. We found that your crystalline structure responds well to our calcium-based treatments when we adjust the mineral balance. The third medic, a young man named Tom, monitored Kay's energy readings on a screen. Your light patterns are getting stronger, he said with a smile. That's a good sign. The treatment is working. Kay felt strange sensations as her body began to heal. Not just the physical recovery, but something else. Emotion she had been trained to ignore. In my culture, she said slowly, showing care for an enemy is seen as weak. Yet you three seem stronger because of it. Jack paused in his work, considering her words. Strength comes in many forms, he said. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is help someone who would hurt you. It breaks the cycle of violence. The vehicle stopped briefly while Anna adjusted some equipment. Through the window, Kay could see Vale's 3 moons hanging in the sky. Tell me, she asked, have you treated others like me? A few, Jack answered. Some were afraid at first, just like you. Others were angry, but most came to understand we genuinely wanted to help. He carefully sealed another crack in her arm. One of them even stayed to help us improve our treatment methods. She said it was the logical thing to do, since it would save lives. This information shocked Kay. A Lumini choosing to help humans. It went against everything she had been taught. Yet she couldn't deny the evidence of her own experience. These humans were far different from the savage creatures described in her military briefings. As the vehicle started moving again, Kay noticed something else new. She was beginning to trust them. Not just because they were healing her, but because of how they worked together, how they spoke to each other with respect and kindness, how they shared knowledge freely. The major breaks are stabilized, Anna announced after another hour of treatment. But you'll need time to fully heal. Your body's natural regenerative properties can take over from here, but you must rest. Kay tried to sit up slightly, testing her repairs. The pain was mostly gone, replaced by a warm, tingling sensation. Why do you share these medical secrets with me? She asked. I could report them to my superiors. Tom laughed gently. They're not really secrets. We publish all our medical research openly. We believe knowledge that can save lives should be shared. This concept was revolutionary to Kay. In her society, knowledge was power, carefully guarded and shared only with the worthy. Yet these humans freely offered information that could help their enemies. It made no tactical sense, but she was beginning to understand it made a different kind of sense, a human kind. As they approached the medical facility, Kay realized she had a choice to make. Everything she had experienced in the past few hours challenged her understanding of strength, of wisdom, of what it meant to be advanced. Perhaps, she thought, her people had been wrong about humans all along. Perhaps there was much more to learn from them than anyone had imagined. The peaceful journey to the medical facility didn't last long. A loud explosion rocked the medical vehicle, forcing it to stop. Jack quickly checked the vehicle's sensors. Lumini patrol ships, he announced, his voice calm but serious. They're sweeping the area. We can't risk moving the vehicle. They'll spot us. He turned to Kay, his expression concerned. They're probably looking for survivors, including you. Kay's crystalline form dimmed slightly with worry. She knew what would happen if her people found her being treated by humans. They will terminate all of us, she said quietly. It is protocol for handling compromised soldiers. Dr. Anna checked the scanner. The patrol is between us and the medical facility. We can't go forward, and we can't go back. She looked at Jack. What's the plan? Jack was already gathering supplies into a portable medical pack. We move on foot. There's a series of caves about 2 kilometers east. We can hide there until the patrol passes. He looked at Kay. Can you move? Kay tried to shift her newly repaired form. The repairs are not fully set. Movement will be difficult. She had never admitted weakness before, but something had changed in her since meeting these humans. Then we'll carry you, Tom said simply, already helping Jack construct a makeshift stretcher using medical supplies and parts from their emergency kit. Kay watched in amazement as they quickly turned simple items into a useful tool. They carefully moved Kay onto the stretcher, padding it with soft material to protect her crystalline form. Dr. Anna stayed with the vehicle to create a diversion if needed, while Jack and Tom prepared to carry Kay. "Stay low and move quietly," Jack instructed as they left the vehicle. The terrain was rough, covered with sharp rocks and thick purple vegetation native to Vale. The two men moved carefully but quickly, adjusting their path to keep Kay's stretcher as stable as possible. Kay watched the sky, tracking her people's search patterns. "They are moving in a standard sweep formation," she whispered. "They will reach this area in approximately 20 minutes. She looked at Jack. "You should leave me. It would be more efficient." Jack didn't even pause in his steady movement. "Not happening. We don't leave anyone behind." His voice was firm but kind. "That's what makes us human." They continued through the darkness, using Vale's 3 moons for light. Tom spotted a patrol drone and quickly guided them under a thick cluster of vegetation. Kay felt strange, hiding from her own people with humans she had been taught to hate. Yet these humans risked their lives to save her, while her own kind would kill her without hesitation. The caves came into view, dark openings in a tall rock formation. Just then, a searchlight swept the area. Jack and Tom smoothly lowered the stretcher and covered Kay with a light-absorbing medical blanket, hiding her natural glow. They stayed perfectly still as the light passed over them. "Almost there," Tom whispered encouragingly as they resumed their journey. Kay noticed how the two men worked perfectly together, moving as one unit despite the awkward stretcher and difficult terrain. Their teamwork was different from Lumini coordination, less mechanical, more intuitive. Finally, they'd reached the cave entrance. Inside, Jack quickly set up a small medical monitoring station, while Tom secured the entrance. Kay watched them work, realizing she had never seen such a natural blend of efficiency and care. "Why do you risk so much for me?" she asked, her voice echoing slightly in the cave. "Your lives are in danger because of me." Jack checked her repairs before answering. "Because every life has value," he said, repeating his words from earlier. "And because sometimes the biggest victories don't come from fighting, but from showing kindness to those who expect only cruelty." As they settled in to wait out the patrol, Kay felt her understanding of strength and weakness shifting even further. Perhaps there was something truly powerful in this human way of thinking, something her own people had never considered. Hours passed slowly in the cave as they waited for the Lumini patrol to move on. Jack maintained watch near the entrance while Tom rested. Kay's repairs continued to stabilize, her crystalline form gradually regaining its natural brightness. The quiet darkness gave them time to talk. "What made you become a medical worker?" Kay asked Jack, genuine curiosity in her voice. In her society, such roles were assigned based on efficiency calculations, not personal choice. Jack sat down near her stretcher, checking her vital signs on his portable monitor. "I lost my brother in a mining accident when I was young," he said. "The medical team tried so hard to save him. After that, I knew I wanted to help others the same way." He adjusted the healing field around her largest crack. "What about you? Why did you join your military?" "We do not choose," Kay explained. "I was created with optimal combat leadership characteristics. The choice was made for me before my consciousness formed." She paused, realizing how strange this must sound to him. "Your way seems inefficient." Tom stirred from his rest, joining the conversation. "But don't you think people work better when they choose their path? When they're passionate about what they do?" Kay had never considered this. Passion is seen as a flaw in our society. We value logic and efficiency above all. She watched as Jack checked her readings again. "Yet you humans seem to draw strength from your emotions." "Emotions aren't weakness," Jack said, sitting back down. They help us understand each other, connect with each other. They drive us to do better, to be better. He smiled slightly. Even now, you're feeling things, aren't you? Curiosity, uncertainty, maybe even hope. Kay was silent for a moment, processing his words. It was true. She was experiencing emotion she had been taught to suppress. "Tell me about your world," she said finally. "How do humans live when they are not at war?" Tom and Jack took turns describing Earth, its varied landscapes, different cultures, the way humans live together despite their differences. Kay listened, fascinated by the seeming chaos of human society that somehow worked. "But how do you maintain order without strict protocols?" she asked. "How do you progress without central direction?" "We progress because of our differences, not despite them," Tom explained. "Different viewpoints, different ideas, they all contribute to innovation." He gestured to the medical equipment keeping Kay stable. "These treatments wouldn't exist if we didn't have people from different backgrounds working together, sharing ideas." A sound from outside made them all quiet. Jack checked the cave entrance, then relaxed. "Just local wildlife," he said. The patrols moved to the next sector. Kay found herself relieved, not just for her safety, but for theirs as well. "In my culture," she said slowly, "we are taught that diversity creates weakness, that unity means uniformity. But your methods, your achievements, they suggest otherwise." "Unity doesn't mean everyone has to be the same," Jack said. "It means working together despite our differences. Sometimes those differences are what save us." He checked his medical scanner again. "Look at how we figured out how to treat your injuries. We had to understand and respect how different you are from us to help you heal." The conversation continued as the night wore on. Kay learned about human families, their art, their music, their ways of celebrating life. Each new piece of information challenged her previous understanding of strength and progress. The humans, in turn, asked about her society, showing genuine interest without judgment. As Vale's moon shifted position outside, Kay realized she was experiencing something unprecedented, not just healing of her physical form, but a transformation of her understanding. These humans, with their seemingly chaotic and emotional ways, had created things her people had never imagined possible. Perhaps, she thought, there was something profound to learn from their way of life. Dawn broke over Vale's horizon as Dr. Anna finally reached the cave in a new medical vehicle. The Lumini patrols had moved on, making it safe to travel again. Kay's injuries had stabilized enough for transport, but now she faced a different kind of challenge. "The medical facility is ready for you," Dr. Anna said, helping Jack and Tom prepare for the move. "But you should know something." She paused, looking directly at Kay. "We've detected Lumini ships in orbit. They're broadcasting messages ordering all their forces to return." Kay's crystalline form dimmed slightly. She knew what this meant. "They are implementing the purification protocol," she said quietly. "Any Lumini who had extended contact with humans must be eliminated to prevent contamination of the collective." Jack stopped his preparations, his face showing concern. "They would kill you just for receiving medical help." The concept clearly disturbed him. "My people believe that exposure to human ideas is dangerous," Kay explained. "They fear your unpredictability, your emotions, your ability to change minds." She looked at her partially healed form. "By accepting your help, I am now considered corrupted." Tom shook his head as he checked the vehicle's security systems. "That's not right. Helping someone shouldn't be a death sentence." "You have a choice," Dr. Anna said gently. "We can take you to a neutral station instead. The United Earth Forces have an agreement with several independent colonies. They would give you asylum." Kay's mind raced. Everything she had been taught told her to reject this offer, to return to her people and accept termination for the greater good. But her experiences over the past day had changed her. She had seen another way of living, another kind of strength. "If I choose asylum," she asked slowly, "what would happen?" Jack sat next to her stretcher. You'd be free to make your own choices, to learn, to work in whatever field interests you. He smiled slightly. Maybe even help us improve our medical treatments for your people, save more lives. The medical vehicle hummed quietly as Kay considered her options. Return to her people and certain death, or embrace this new path. The logical choice seemed clear, yet she struggled with years of conditioning. Tell me, she said to Jack, why do humans value individual choice so much? Why risk disrupting order for personal freedom? Because the best ideas, the biggest breakthroughs, often come from people thinking differently, he explained. When everyone is forced to be the same, you lose something precious, the chance to grow, to discover new possibilities. Dr. Anna checked Kay's readings one more time. We need to move soon, she said. What do you want to do? Kay looked at these humans who had risked their lives to save an enemy. She thought about their discussions in the cave, about their different way of seeing the world, about their strength that came not from rigid order, but from embracing diversity and change. I choose life, she said finally, her voice steady. I choose to learn your way of helping others, even those who might be enemies. Her crystalline form brightened with newfound purpose. Perhaps by doing so, I can help bridge the gap between our peoples. Relief showed on the humans' faces as they prepared to move. As they carefully loaded Kay into the medical vehicle, she realized this wasn't just a choice about survival. It was a choice about what kind of person she wanted to be. You're very brave, Tom said as they started their journey. It's not easy to question everything you've been taught. Kay watched the landscape pass by, seeing it with new eyes. Bravery, she replied, is something I have learned from you humans, along with mercy, kindness, and the strength to choose a different path. 1 year had passed since that fateful day on Vale. Kay stood before the Joint Council for Peace, her crystalline form glowing steadily in the Grand Chamber. Representatives from both Earth and independent colonies sat on one side, while a small group of Lumini delegates sat on the other. The scars in her crystal structure, though healed, still showed as subtle patterns, a permanent reminder of the journey that brought her here. When I lay broken on that battlefield, Kay began, her voice clear and strong. I believe I knew everything about strength and weakness. I was wrong. She gestured to Jack, who sat in the front row wearing his medical corps uniform. A human soldier taught me that true strength lies not in destroying enemies, but in healing them. The Lumini delegates shifted uncomfortably. In the past year, Kay had become something unprecedented, a bridge between their two species. Working with human medical teams, she had helped develop better treatments for injured Lumini soldiers. Each one saved became a small crack in the wall of distrust between their peoples. Our society values efficiency and logic, she continued, addressing her fellow Lumini. But we have been efficient in war, logical in destruction. The humans showed me a different path. She activated a holographic display showing medical statistics. In 1 year, our joint medical program has saved 342 Lumini lives. Lives our protocol would have abandoned. Dr. Anna, now the head of the Joint Species Medical Research Program, stood to present the next part. Working with Kay has revolutionized our understanding of crystalline biology. But more importantly, it has shown that cooperation between our species is not just possible, it's beneficial to all. Kay watched as images of the new medical facilities appeared, places where both humans and Lumini worked together to save lives. Tom, who had become a specialist in Lumini medical care, demonstrated new treatment techniques to a mixed group of students. Change is not contamination, Kay declared, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. Understanding is not weakness. The humans I once feared have become my teachers, my colleagues, and yes, my friends. She turned to face the Lumini delegates directly. They showed mercy when our protocol demanded cruelty. They offered help when our laws required abandonment. The chamber was silent as Kay approached the center of the room. I stand before you as living proof that our peoples can work together. Every scar in my form tells a story, not of weakness, but of transformation. Not of contamination, but of growth. She activated one final hologram, an image of the battlefield where her journey began. 1 year ago, I was left to die here. Instead, I was given a choice. Today, I ask you to make the same choice. Her gaze swept across both human and Lumini representatives. We can continue to fear our differences, or we can learn from them. We can cling to rigid protocols, or we can grow beyond them. Jack stood and walked to Kay's side, followed by Dr. Anna and Tom. The human concept of family taught me something valuable, Kay said softly. It taught me that bonds can form beyond what is logical or efficient. That strength can come from caring for others, even those different from ourselves. As she finished speaking, something unprecedented happened. One of the Lumini delegates rose and approached her. Your words carry truth we cannot ignore, the delegate said. Perhaps it is time for us to learn new protocols. Kay's form brightened with hope as humans and Lumini began to talk together, really talk, for the first time. She felt Jack's hand touch her crystalline shoulder in support, and she knew that this was just the beginning. She had once been left to die on a battlefield, but human compassion had given her, and now perhaps both their peoples, a chance to truly live.